Almost a decade after the 9/11 attacks, Osama bin Laden is dead. On Sunday, a U.S. Special Operations team completed its mission just 30 minutes outside of Pakistan's capital. Our chief Washington correspondent Peter Cook is with us. He has more on where the world's most wanted man was living. And Peter, this was no cave.
This was no cave, indeed. This was a home in an affluent suburb outside of Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan, a place with a significant Pakistani military presence in the neighborhood, even retired military living nearby. This was a real community. It was a modern, custom-built compound built sometime in 2005, we're being told, and valued at about $1 million. It had walls 18 feet high, barbed wire at the top. That was one clue to intelligence officials that there was something going on here. One thing else that stood out, the home had no phone or internet connections, and the residents there were burning their garbage. U.S. officials say they suspected there was a high-value target hiding there, but they did not know with certainty that it was bin Laden. As Hans mentioned earlier, the first tip really came in August. This information was not shared with the Pakistanis ahead of the raid, and in fact, very few people within the U.S. government knew the raid was happening. That's how airtight this was. Deirdre, a lot of us were at the White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday night here in D.C., and I spoke to some of the defense officials, military officials who would have been clued in, and you can be sure there was no one tipping their hand on over the weekend.
And Peter, I mean, reaching out to any kind of surprise in D.C., even though you said no one was tipping his or her hand?
Well, it's interesting. You know, the market reaction is something that that the U.S. government is following. And so far, I spoke to one administration official who says, listen, this is what we expected. The world is a safer place now with Osama bin Laden is gone. That's what's been reflected in markets so far. But at the same time, it's a safer place, but still also a very dangerous place. The market reaction they're anticipating, again, might be a brief reaction, short-term reaction. The long-term reaction, again, still has to play out.
Peter, thank you so much. Peter Cook joining us there from Washington, D.C.